Welcome everybody to Living Local After Dark Beltway Book Club edition. I am your host, Meny, and I'm so excited to welcome my guest today, author Nguyen. She is the author of a fantastic book. That book is You Know What You Did. KT, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I am so excited to have you here. So first of all, I've been seeing your book all around DC, which is so exciting. Tell me a little bit about, for those who don't know, tell me a little bit about the book.
You Know What You Did is about a first-generation Vietnamese-American immigrant. She's an artist. And following the death of her mother, her life begins to spiral out of control. Specifically, her OCD, which has kind of been dormant over the years, comes roaring back. But the difference this time is the intrusive thoughts in her head seem to be manifesting themselves in real life around her.
Which is like nightmare fuel, yes. Nightmare fuel. And so I want to talk more about OCD representation in the book. But before that, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I knew I wanted to write a book. I had a job in marketing, and I wanted to do something more totally creative. And I had been a magazine editor in the past. I was used to writing articles, but I had never written anything this long, like with chapters.
Right.
And I wanted to try it. And I had been reading a lot of psychological horror and thrillers at the time. So I thought to myself, what's the scariest thing I could imagine? I was walking my dog one day, and it hit me. The scariest thing to me as someone with OCD is if my intrusive thoughts came to life.
Right. And here you have the book.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And it's an amazing way to start a psychological thriller, because it's like you start with what's the scariest thing that could happen, and here you are, you've written the book. So let's talk about OCD. So you yourself have OCD. What was it like writing a book and kind of describing OCD within the book?
Well, my OCD, fortunately, is really well managed.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed in my early 30s.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd fit really well under control, so I was able to revisit those thoughts and put the details on the page without it triggering my actual OCD.
Which is very important.
Yes.
And so talk about the concept of intrusive thoughts, because, you know, I know the phrase, but some people might not understand what they are.
So when people think of OCD, they often think of Monk or some TV show, like a portrayal in popular culture where you're just too neat, or you're really organized and you match your clothes, and it's something lighthearted to be laughed at. Part of the reason to me and to so many people living with OCD, part of the reason that's a little hard to swallow is because it can be incredibly debilitating. You're a prisoner to these intrusive thoughts that really bully you and tell you what to do all day, and you have to listen to them pretty much. And you end up essentially becoming a prisoner in your own body.
Yeah, it as you said, it can be debilitating. And so, you know, you just mentioned like Monk and like very stereotypical or incorrect portrayals of OCD. What has it been like writing this book and, you know, writing a portrayal of OCD that's realistic and from, you know, personal experience? What has it been like contending with these like stereotypical portrayals?
I think that writing a book with really real, visceral, horrific details about OCD has brought the condition to life for people. If you have OCD, you see yourself on the page finally. You recognize yourself in the character Annie Shaw, who's experiencing these intrusive thoughts. If you don't have OCD, it's a great chance to see the world through the lens of someone experiencing OCD. And 2 to 3 million Americans are experiencing, adult Americans are experiencing OCD at any given time. So chances are, even if you don't have OCD, someone you know does.
Absolutely. And I think it's a powerful book in that regard to really show an accurate and realistic portrayal of OCD. But I want to talk about the book as a whole. Is this your first book?
It is.
Oh, that's so exciting.
It's my debut novel.
The debut. We love that. So what was it like writing your debut?
Well, it's liberating, actually,
Okay,
because
yeah.
you don't know what to expect.
I know, you're just like, woo!
And I wasn't someone who followed all of the publishing news and all of the podcasts about writing. I just wrote it.
Yeah.
I wrote about 500 words a day. I was still working full time. And in the end, I had a book. So
And here you are.
yes. So it's kind of liberating not having the baggage of knowing too much about the publishing industry.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think it gives you that freedom. What was it like writing a psychological thriller? I know it's a weird question because it's your first book, so that's kind of what you've written. But I mean, was there anything unique about it in that regard?
I will always write psychological thrillers and mysteries of some kind because it's what I read from being young, growing up reading, all of the mystery series, Three Investigators.
Yes.
All those series growing up. And now I get to write them.
Mm-hmm. That's so exciting. I also want to talk about your main character, Annie. Is that her? Did you say your name was Annie?
Yes. Talk
to me about who Annie is as a protagonist.
Well, Annie Shaw is a first-generation refugee. Her mother fled the war while she was pregnant with Annie.
Okay, yeah.
And it's interesting because my mother also fled the war while she was pregnant with me.
Okay, yeah.
And Annie and I are totally different characters, but I borrowed from some of the biographical details to write the book.
Yeah.
I grew up in Ohio.
Okay.
Annie also grows up in Ohio. And so in addition to the idea of mental health and OCD, we also explore the refugee experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll ask similar to my question about OCD, what was that like drawing from your own life to put that into your book?
I drew from my own life and my experience as the youngest of 5 siblings.
Okay, yeah.
Who came to this country. My mother was pregnant with me, as I said. You have to learn everything from scratch.
Right.
The language, how to use a knife and fork versus chopsticks, everything. I ended up going to an Ivy League school. I went to Brown University, but when I first got to school, I didn't really know the proper way. It was like Pretty Woman. I didn't know how to hold the knife and fork. And I was invited to a lunch with the ambassador to Vietnam, and I had to try to figure it out.
You're like, what?
But that's kind of my approach to writing and publishing as well. I just had to figure it out because it wasn't like my mother was a novelist. You just kind of figure things out along the way.
Well, I think that is a beautiful way to go about life. And here you are now. I'm so excited to be talking to you about your book. We have to go to commercial break, but stay tuned, everybody. When we come back, we will talk so much more about this book and KT. All right, stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to Living Local After Dark, Beltway Book Club edition. So excited to be here with my guest, KT Nguyen. She is the author of a fabulous book, You Know What You Did. We've been talking all about the book, but I want to talk about a cool aspect, which is you're partnering with DC Public Library for a very cool thing called DC Reads. Is that right?
Yes, DC Reads, in partnership with the Penn Faulkner Foundation, is this really cool program where the public libraries have copies of several featured authors, and the idea is to get the city reading together and having discussions about the same kind of books. So the program culminates on March 26th at Martin Luther King Library. We'll have an auditorium full of readers and writers, and I will be speaking with Lupita Reads.
Yes.
And Nikki Payne, another local author, and
it's okay. No, it's okay.
And Dolan Perkins Valdez.
Yes, love
I don't
it.
know how the name slips me.
Oh my gosh, it's totally fine.
She's amazing.
Yes, I asked you to just recite a huge amount of info. No, that was great. That was great. Well, that's awesome. And so what you've already had, that's an event with those folks, but then you've already had your event. What was that like to talk about your book with a bunch of people in DC?
Oh, it was amazing. It was at another library, and there were book clubs who had read the book, and it was so exciting. I focused on mental health and OCD in my discussion. And to me, the most powerful part of the DB experience in writing this book has been having people with OCD come up to me. And they've seen themselves on the page finally.
That's
and
beautiful.
It's really moving.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's go back to you as a writer. You went from marketing to writing. What inspired you to write a book? Have you always wanted to write a book, or were you just like, yeah, I'll do this?
Well, I've always loved writing.
Yeah.
And when you're writing a feature story for a magazine, you know this, or
Right,
preparing
right.
a feature story, it's all storytelling.
Yes.
You're building characters, you're drawing out interesting details, and you're engaging the reader. So it was really a challenge to do this on the scale of an entire novel.
Yeah.
And I found that just by doing bit by bit, I was able to tackle it.
I was going to say, do you have like a writing, what is it? I'm totally blanking on the word. Process, or thank you, day-to-day thing that you do?
Well, the key to writing for me is to write every single day and to make it a habit. And it doesn't have to be a lot. But if I give myself the excuse of, oh, I can just do research today, or I'll just do that, then I lose the thread of the story. And so writing a little bit at least every day is really key for me.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to go home and write after this. That is important, and I've heard a lot of people talk about that. And then you mentioned you love reading. You've always loved reading. So do you have any like favorite books or books that have really inspired you?
Well, in terms of You Know What You Did, the books that inspired that, one would be I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. It's a really early book that focuses on mental health. The character doesn't have OCD, but it really gives insight into the turmoil that you can experience when you're going through something.
Yeah,
it's like a mental health condition. And what I'm currently reading now, I'm super into, like, I read nonstop. I probably read 5 books a week, and they're mysteries and thrillers. So a great one that's coming up, I think it's actually out now, is Strangers in the Villa. It is out now, by Robin Harding.
Okay.
It's a psychological thriller.
Ooh.
It's really fun and sexy. It's great. And in terms of local authors, if you like historical mysteries, Cheryl Head is a great one. She wrote Time's Undoing.
Okay, cool.
And it's actually based on her family's experience in the South as African Americans. And Aggie Bloom Thompson is another local author. If you like domestic suspense, she's based in Bethesda, and everything is really written in that. She has 5 books, and they're all based in that kind of affluent milieu of suburban moms.
Let me take notes right now. Let me write down all of these authors. No, this is great, and we love talking about local authors on the show, obviously. I wanted to ask, do you have any advice for people who want to publish a book, or writers who are, want to get to where you are?
I would say don't give up.
Yeah.
Because, and what I was talking about before, reading too much about the publishing industry, sometimes that's not good.
Yeah,
because you hear all these crazy statistics, like you're more likely to be hit by lightning. That's not helpful.
Right, who wants to hear that?
That's not helpful. You just need to write, and if you get rejected, keep trying.
Absolutely. Tenacity, really.
Tenacity, and also not taking it personally.
Right.
I think as an editor when I was in magazines, I learned to accept edits and not take it too personally.
That makes sense. Yeah, because a lot of the writing process is a lot of editing. Yeah. I mean, throughout, from manuscript to your book.
And another mistake people make when they start out is trying to write to market. I would definitely not recommend that.
Yeah.
Because if you're bored with what you're writing or trying to force it, then even if it's selling like hotcakes, you're not going to be able to sell that story.
That's
you
fair.
should write something that's really personal or that you feel strongly about, passionate about.
And that is some great advice. Well, KT, we got to go to break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about your book and all that good stuff. So everybody stick around. We will be right back with more Beltway Book Club. Welcome back, everybody, to Living Local After Dark Beltway Book Club edition. I am here with my guest, KT Nguyen. She wrote a fantastic book, You Know What You Did. KT, I actually want to start by talking about the cover, which I can't believe I haven't asked you about this yet, but it's a beautiful cover. It's creepy, it's cool. How much do you get to design the cover?
Well, it varies by author, but
Okay.
I personally, my editor at Dutton was so patient with me.
Yeah.
We actually, first they asked me for ideas for a mood board, which you think, oh, whatever, they're just throwing the author a bone.
Yeah.
But I ended up giving ideas, and we went through probably 20 versions.
Wow.
So I was really involved in the process, and it was so important to me, and I'm really proud of the way it turned out.
Yes.
I think it's eye-catching. It gets the mood across, and the tagline, "If thoughts could kill," was actually mine.
That's
Which is
amazing.
I know sometimes people would assume, oh, of course it's yours, but usually things like that
Yes.
aren't necessarily the author's.
You know, it's an amazing cover. What is I don't know if this is a spoiler, what's the little bug right there on the D?
Oh, I've been asked if it's a spotted lanternfly, and it's not.
Oh my
no, that
gosh.
wasn't even a thing. It's a ladybug with her wings spread out. A
yes.
lady beetle.
Oh, I love that. I think the DC people have trauma from the spotted lanternfly.
I think so too.
We're like, what is that? Is that a spotted lanternfly? Oh my gosh. Well, we're talking about your book, but I want to talk about, are there any books from your childhood that like just grabbed you and you think maybe led you to where you are today?
Well, growing up in Ohio as an immigrant,
Yeah.
books were really all I had.
Right,
I
right.
read nonstop, everything that I could get my hands on. My sister actually read my older sister, every single book in the public library. It was such a tiny library, and it's a tiny town.
Still, that's a lot of books.
A one-stop light town. So we were huge readers, and it was just a way to see the world through other people's eyes. And that's what I
Yes.
wanted to get across with my book.
Right.
Really be inside a character's head and see the world in a way you would normally see it. I think that's what breeds empathy.
Yeah.
And that's what we need so much of now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of which, getting into a character's head, how do you do that? I mean, your book I know is very much focused on the main character's mental state and her emotional state. How do you get to know a character?
Well, I think as writers, and even you as an interviewer or a reporter, you spend all your time trying to figure out what makes people tick.
It's true. It's true.
And so when you do that on a daily basis, even someone you meet at the dentist's office,
Yeah.
the doctor, if you're one of those people, I really suggest writing down your thoughts, your perceptions. You're probably a budding writer.
Right, exactly. I love that. That is such great advice. And then, okay, let's talk about you kind of talked about this before, but what do you hope people get out of your book?
Well, first of all, I want them to be a little bit terrified. It's a psychological,
psychological thriller, yes,
with horror elements. So I want them to be terrified. I want them to have an experience where they're just so immersed in this character's head that they get a fresh perspective. I want it to be a thrill ride, a roller coaster, and I want them to learn something about OCD.
Yes, absolutely. Are you writing something else? Is something new around the bend?
I am. I have a bunch of short stories coming out in journals and literary publications, but I'm also working on my next novel.
Love that.
I can't talk too much about
No
yet,
spoilers, no spoilers. That is okay. What would you say for somebody who writes psychological thriller, what's like the highest compliment? That somebody couldn't sleep, that they had nightmares?
I think it's that you couldn't go to sleep because you keep turning to see what happens next, or that the book stays with you after you've read it.
That makes sense.
There are a lot of thrillers that are kind of disposable. They're fun. They're for the beach. But I want something that is that propulsive, but the idea behind it still sticks with you later.
Right. Do you have any advice specifically about writing psychological thrillers?
I think the first thing you need to acknowledge when writing psychological thrillers is that the scariest thing is either what's in your own head or in someone else's. Ooh. What's going on in your neighbor's basement, the apartment next door? To me, that's way scarier than like vampires or, monsters.
I feel that. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's why true crime is so popular now. People want to know why people do these things.
Absolutely. That is excellent advice. Okay, so if people want to find the book, how can they buy it?
It's anywhere books are sold. Okay. A lot of independent bookstores in DC have it. Barnes & Noble. It's all over, anywhere books are sold.
We love our bookstores. And where can people see you? What events do you have coming up?
Well, I mentioned DC Reads.
Yes,
That's on
yes.
the 26th at Martin Luther King Jr. Library. I will also be appearing at Gaithersburg Book Festival, and I have events coming up at Curious Iguana in Frederick.
Ooh.
It's a great, cute indie bookstore, and at Park Books in Severna Park, Maryland.
Fantastic. Busy. I love that. Keeping busy with the books. And then do you have a website or social media or anything like that?
I do. I'm most active on Instagram,
Okay,
but
yes.
you can get to my Instagram through my website, Nguyen, Nguyen, author.com.
And you have a fantastic Instagram, can I just say?
Oh, thank
It's
you.
true. I was looking, I was like, yes, she's on the Instagram game. It is great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Katie, it's been so great chatting with you about your book. You know what you did. I cannot wait to dive into it and stay up all night reading it and have nightmares.
Thank you, Ellen. You know what you did.
I know. You know what you did. Or do you say that to people all the time?
I like putting it as a subject line in emails.
And then people like get the email. They're like, oh, what? Yes. She knows. She knows. Oh my gosh. Well, Katie, thank you again. So great to talk with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's great to see you.
Yes, you too. And everybody, thank you so much for watching the Beltway Book Club. We will be back next Tuesday with all sorts of great literary things in the DMV. So everybody keep reading, and we will see you next time.